What if I told you that the largest explosion in modern history, an event 1,000 times more powerful than an atomic bomb, flattened a forest the size of Tokyo, and to this day, no one knows for certain what caused it? This isn't the plot of a science fiction movie. This is the story of the Tunguska Event, a cosmic mystery that unfolded in the heart of Siberia over a century ago. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, the quiet, remote wilderness of the Tunguska region in Siberia was shattered by an unimaginable cataclysm. Imagine this. You're a local hunter, miles from any town, when suddenly the sky splits open. A column of brilliant blue light, brighter than the sun itself, streaks across the horizon. Seconds later, a flash illuminates the entire landscape, followed by a pillar of fire that reaches for the heavens. Then comes the sound, a deafening series of explosions, and a shockwave so powerful it hurls you through the air like a ragdoll. A wave of searing heat washes over you, intense enough to make your clothes feel like they're about to catch fire. This was the terrifying reality for the few scattered eyewitnesses who experienced the day the sky fell. The blast was so immense that its seismic tremors were registered by observatories across Europe and Asia. In London, people could reportedly read newspapers at midnight from the strange, lingering glow in the night sky. The sheer scale of this event is difficult to comprehend. To put it into perspective, the explosion over Tunguska was estimated to be 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima decades later. It was a planetary-scale event that occurred in one of the most desolate places on Earth, and that remoteness is precisely why the mystery only deepened. Due to the sheer isolation of the region and the immense political turmoil gripping Russia at the time, revolutions and a world war were just around the corner, the site of the explosion remained untouched and uninvestigated for nearly 2 decades. The world had other things on its mind. It wasn't until 1927 that the first scientific expedition, funded by the Soviet Academy of Sciences, finally set out to find the impact site. Leading the charge was a determined mineralogist named Leonid Kulik. Kulik was convinced he would find the remnants of a giant iron meteorite. He had read the eyewitness accounts and was certain that a massive celestial body had collided with the Earth. He envisioned finding a colossal crater and tons of extraterrestrial metal, a discovery that would make his name in scientific history and provide valuable resources for the Soviet state. The journey itself was an epic undertaking. Kulik and his team had to traverse the brutal Siberian taiga, a treacherous landscape of dense forests, insect-infested swamps, and unforgiving rivers. For weeks they battled the elements, pushing deeper and deeper into the wilderness, guided only by the fragmented accounts of local Ewenki hunters. Finally, after a grueling journey, they arrived. As they crested a hill, they saw it. The scene that greeted them was surreal, eerie, and utterly baffling. It was not what Kulik had expected at all. Before them lay a scene of almost biblical devastation. An enormous circular area of forest, stretching over 2,000 square kilometers, an area larger than most major cities, had been utterly flattened. But the strange part was the pattern. The trees were all felled outwards from a central point, laid out like the spokes of a gigantic wheel. It was a clear, undeniable sign of a massive, singular explosion. But as Kulik and his team pushed toward the epicenter, the mystery only grew more profound. They were looking for a crater, a giant hole in the ground left by the impact of a meteorite. They found nothing. There was no crater, not a big one, not a small one. The ground was spongy and marshy, but completely unbroken. And there was something even stranger at the very center of the blast zone. At ground zero. Here, in a small area, a group of trees remained standing. But they were skeletal, stripped completely of their branches and bark, reduced to what the expedition members called a telegraph pole forest. These ghost-like trees stood as silent, scorched sentinels, pointing to the sky where the explosion must have happened directly above them. Kulik was perplexed. He spent years, leading for separate expeditions to Tunguska, desperately searching for any fragment of the object that had caused such destruction. He drained bogs and dug pits, but found not a single, definitive piece of a meteorite. The object, whatever it was, had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind only devastation and a puzzle that would baffle scientists for the next century. So, if it wasn't a meteorite impact, what in the world happened at Tunguska? The lack of a crater and any physical fragments forced scientists to think outside the box. Today, the most widely accepted scientific explanation is the airburst theory. This hypothesis suggests that a large space object, either a stony asteroid or a small comet, likely between 50 and 100 meters wide, entered Earth's atmosphere at an incredible speed. Instead of hitting the ground, the immense pressure and heat caused it to catastrophically explode several kilometers up in the air. This aerial explosion would unleash all of its kinetic energy in a massive fireball and shockwave, perfectly explaining the radial pattern of the flattened forest and the scorched but standing trees at the epicenter. An airburst would also explain the lack of a crater, as the object itself would have been almost entirely vaporized in the explosion, its remnants dispersing as microscopic dust into the upper atmosphere. In 2013, the world got a small-scale preview of what this might look like with the Chelyabinsk meteor event in Russia, where a much smaller 20-meter asteroid exploded in the air, creating a shockwave that injured over 1,000 people. The Tunguska event was a far more powerful version of that. While the airburst theory is the leading contender, the complete absence of undisputed fragments and the sheer scale of the event have left the door open for a host of more speculative and frankly more exciting theories over the decades. Some have proposed that the Earth was struck by a piece of antimatter. The annihilation of matter and antimatter would release a colossal amount of energy, leaving no physical trace behind. Another fringe idea is that a miniature black hole, no bigger than a pinhead but with immense mass, passed straight through the Earth. It would have entered over Tunguska and exited out the other side in the North Atlantic, with the atmospheric disturbance causing the explosion. Then there's the Nikola Tesla theory. In the early 1900s, the brilliant inventor was experimenting with the wireless transmission of energy from his Wardenclyffe Tower. Some theorists speculate that he conducted a weapons test, firing a powerful energy beam across the globe that resulted in the explosion. While these ideas make for fantastic stories, they lack any supporting evidence and are not taken seriously by the mainstream scientific community. Yet, they persist, a testament to our fascination with the unknown. Over 115 years later, the Tunguska event continues to cast a long shadow. Even today, satellite imagery reveals the ghostly scar on the Siberian landscape. The forest has regrown, but the pattern of the blast is still faintly visible from space, a permanent reminder of that day. Modern expeditions continue to visit the site, analyzing soil samples, peat bogs, and tree rings, searching for microscopic clues of ferrules of melted rock, unusual isotopic ratios that could finally and definitively identify the nature of the cosmic intruder. The Tunguska event stands as the largest impact event in recorded history. A stark and chilling reminder of the very real threat posed by near-Earth objects. It proves that a devastating impact isn't just a possibility. It has happened, and it will happen again. It highlights the critical importance of programs that scan the skies, tracking asteroids and comets that could pose a danger to our planet. The event is a terrifying look at a bullet we dodged simply by luck. Had that object arrived just a few hours later, its trajectory would have placed it over densely populated Europe, changing the course of human history forever. It's a sobering reminder that our world is a fragile island in a vast cosmic ocean, and that sometimes the greatest dangers come not from within, but from the silent, dark, and indifferent expanse of space above. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this cosmic mystery as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the unknown. Let me know in the comments which theory you find most compelling. Until next time, keep looking up.